think I'm live now. I'm reading out of Life in Spirit, written by Harry Edwards, published in 1976. It's a book about the afterlife, according to Harry Edwards. In the sleeve notes he says here, this is the story of John and Mary, any John, any Mary, brother and sister, husband and wife, sweethearts, friends. The story of you and me, but with this difference. John and Mary have died and have entered into their new life in spirit. Harry Edwards was known throughout the world as foremost as a healer and an author of many books on healing. And he wrote this beautiful book, and I am now in section 2, chapter 21, Thoughts on Physical Mediumship. Physical mediumship is rare, but in the course of his career, the author has been privileged to know and have sat in circles with some of this country's leading physical mediums. He sponsored the mediumship of one of them, Jack Webber, through whom there came some remarkable manifestations, many of which have been documented and photographed in the book The Mediumship of Jack Webber by Harry Edwards. The comments which follow formed part of a paper written by the author to members of the Spiritual Trust Foundation Advisory Committee long before this book was commenced, but it may be thought that some of the observations have formed the subject matter of this book. Communication. Mental communication with spirit is received through the medium's spirit mind to his consciousness. In clairvoyance, the medium receives vision as if he were seeing, and in clairaudience, hearing, as if his ears were receiving. The medium is receiving these experiences through his spirit senses, reporting through his spirit mind to his consciousness. With intuitive thought communication, whether by trance or normal, there is a flow of thought from the communicator through the medium's spirit mind to his consciousness, which is then passed to the brain and translated into the language of the medium. Mental communication is a mind process having no direct connection with the nervous system, plexus, digestion, the contents of the stomach, or the mucous membranes. Ectoplasm. Origin. It has not yet been established that ectoplasm arises from any particular part of the medium's body. It may arise from energies generated through the blending of the medium's spirit and physical faculties under trance control and direction. Emergence. Ectoplasm can emerge from any of the body's orifices. It can appear in a semi-solid misty state or in a more substantial formation. Notes. When there is a continual copious flow of ectoplasm from the mouth and throat, there is no sign of physical stress or choking with the mediums arising from interference with this breathing, so the flow continues uninterruptedly for an appreciable time. B. I have several photographs of the medium Jack Webber producing ectoplasm. Characteristics. While a piece of spirit materialized fabric has been secured, no piece of ectoplasm substance has ever been captured or retained. Ectoplasm stains on clothing have shown a composition similar to albumin. That's egg white, I think. Note. Ectoplasm can detach and distribute molecules as with the transmission of older molecules. This may indicate the ability of ectoplasm to absorb other molecules under the physical laws and take them back into the medium's body, i.e., when ectoplasm is exposed to virus organizations, it could carry them back into the medium and produce disease. Without any preliminary sign of illness, Jack Webber passed on without stress in 3 days from virulent spinal meningitis. He had conducted a physical seance 2 days earlier. Ectoplasm can be seen in various shades of color, varying from white to black. To the touch it has weight, density, can be dry or have that feeling of wetness like the handling of a live fish. It can be as light as a spider's web or dense like a wet Macintosh. It is a basic substance for instruments like psychic rods, materializations, or other forms of living matter. Nerve connection. There's a strong physical nerve penetration connecting the ectoplasm to the medium's nervous system. Any unauthorized interference with the entranced medium or the ectoplasm will result in an uncontrollable withdrawal of the whole of the ectoplasm back into the medium instantaneously, invariably causing injury. Ectoplasm is amorphous. It has no set shape. It is convertible from one shape or state into another in a moment of time. If its molecular structure is the same, or as when, for instance, it is changed from a yielding substance into a rigid rod of great strength, it follows that it has received an instruction to consolidate, concentrating cohesion, and to make an energy change in the structure, implying nerve communication of some kind. Reabsorption. Ectoplasm is reabsorbed back into the medium in an orderly manner, not very quickly and under control, or it is returned instantaneously in time of an emergency. While ectoplasm is observed to recede, usually through the same orifice from which it has emerged, it does not imply it returns in a physical state, but in the process of being transformed back to its primary state of non-physical energy. Molecular formations. Matter consists of primal, in brackets etheric, energy characterized into an ordered formation, thus creating elemental atoms. Amalgamation of atoms in a definite order build up a molecule, possessing particular properties. A molecule can be of simple structure like that of water, H2O, or exceedingly complex as with the DNA molecule. It follows that, as the physical matter produced with a materialization does not return to the medium, a different kind of molecular change occurs, possibly dispersing the component atoms of the molecules into atomic freedom. Intelligent direction. A further conclusion is that from its inception, ectoplasm is subject to precise intelligent control. Consideration of the source, character, and means of this direction leads to theories which become more involved as the study progresses. There's a physical nerve association connecting the ectoplasm to the medium's nervous system and brain, as has been shown. This connection with the brain could be a direct link through the sensory nerve centers, the brain acting protectively as a natural function in a case of emergency withdrawal. More than this, it is implied in ectoplasm manipulation. Ectoplasm, being a spirit physical substance, cannot be left in a physical state, therefore it must return to its spirit origin. The intelligence responsible for this is not that of the medium's physical mind or brain, for they do not possess the knowledge how to transform the energy states. It may well be the intelligence of the guide or the counsel, but it implies there is a form of communication from the intelligence proceeding throughout the ectoplasm, which may be akin to the nerves in our bodily system. Such a system is needed to order any state of change or purpose within the ectoplasm. It is a natural expectation that a still more experienced intelligence is needed to superintend the creation of a materialized form, or indeed a voice box. Risking repetition, the brain can only be used to the extent of its programming by life's experience. For instance, a lay mind could not function to correct an electronic apparatus unless it understands all the details which contribute to its function. Materializations, origin and dispersal. It is established that usually a materialized form is developed from ectoplasm. The form has a different way of dispersal from that of ectoplasm. It does not return to the medium. When this takes place, it invariably shows subsides like a melting snowman, diminishing as it disperses, becoming smaller, and appears to be passing down into the ground. The time it takes for this is a matter of seconds, but slow enough for it to be seen. Characteristics. It may not be necessary to build up a complete form, i.e. it may be sufficient to produce the features for recognition. To the touch, a form has density and temperature. When a spirit hand is held, it is warm and has a solid feeling. If it is a child hand, it's small, and the fingers can move to hold the sitter's hand or fingers. This indicates the materialized hand contains bones, joints, tendons to move the fingers, and a nerve center to give instructions to the fingers. It feels no different from a human hand, large or small. As the joints move without creaking, there is a cartilage within the joints and blood vessels and the heart circulation to provide the warmth. Perhaps we can deduce more by considering the implications which arise when a materialized form speaks. Anatomy of a materialized form. When a form speaks, it can speak clearly without distortion, speak in the correct dialect, answer a question. This indicates that the form has a brain and memory and receives communication from the senses. In our daily lives, sound vibrations reach the ears and are conveyed through the auditory nerves to the brain, which then interprets the vibrations into words recognizable by the mind. The mind then conveys its answer in thought form to the brain, instructing the nerves to use the vocal cords to produce sound in the form of words for the clear answer to be given. When a spirit form speaks, it implies the existence of a spirit-formed replica of the brain and communication systems. The next conclusion is that the materialized person needs to possess lungs, vocal cords, tongue, roof of mouth, lips, teeth, etc., all essential for producing dialectical speech. In addition, there must be the supporting organs and systems, correct heart rhythm, with breathing sensory and motor nerves, lubrication to keep the passages moist and clear, otherwise the form would not be able to converse with a dry nose, mouth and bronchial tubes. All this organization is necessary to permit a materialized form to speak. More far-reaching conclusions have become apparent if we seek to study the substances comprising the organs of a materialized form. Take for instance a simple one, the tongue. The tongue is made up of muscles, blood vessels and nerves. It has a tip, a main part and a root. Muscle fibers run in all directions to make changes in the shape of a tongue. It has to be very sensitive to subconscious direction, to manipulate its shape and position, to assist in making the large variety of sound formations. It needs to be cellular information, and each cell must maintain its vitality, temperature, purpose and function to bring as it exists, so long as it exists. It is of interest to consider whether a materialized form is constructed with cells to function with a purpose, like those of the tongue. If not, then what other comparable substance can it be composed of, remembering it must be molecular and have purpose? This gives a much more advanced picture than that previously held by some people, when it was said that a form was produced by ectoplasm being poured into an etheric mold. To proceed further, if the cells in the tongue or in any other part of the form are the counterpart of human ones, as seems most likely because it produces a precise physical effect, then its structure should be identical too. This indicates that the spirit counterpart of a DNA or RNA molecule exists in a physical state so long as the tongue etc. exists. It is not necessary here to enter upon a narrative of the metabolic pathways which eventually produce the fantastic energy compilations comprising a DNA molecule which is the substance of the cell. It is true that the life of a spirit cell has chromosomes and it dependent on protein nourishment. We are justified in wondering whether a materialized cell possesses chromosomes and the genetic seeds of inheritance. Is it under spirit pituitary control, or can it reproduce itself at will? In the theory that a materialized form is not a replica of a human form and its substance is not cellular, what are the alternatives? An alternative must take into account the known facts about materialization. A. It is matter and therefore molecular. B. It is mobile. It can move in any direction and walk, arm in arm with a person or has been recorded. It can speak in dialect. C. D. It wears a covering which can be replica of a woman's cloth. E. Besides speaking, it can be emotional. F. It takes time for a form to build up. It has been observed to consolidate into its final definite state formation from a nebulous indefinite state, like bringing a photograph into focus on a screen, taking a number of seconds to complete. Its dispersal is by a progressive diminishing, having the appearance of getting smaller dimensionally and sinking down to the floor. It is logical that a spirit-formed substance can be controlled by spirit intelligence, i.e. the amorphous state of ectoplasm obeys instructions. While this control could possibly apply to a limb, could it apply to dialectical words or express emotions? In this connection, considers direct and independent voice. In this connection, consider direct and independent voice. With clairaudience, a seemingly normal sounding voice is heard by a medium, but which is inaudible to normal ears. The pertinent fact is that the words are heard by the medium. This is the pitiful experience of some unfortunate people who suffer from possession. There is support for voices being normally heard in the presence of an unentranced medium. It may be assumed with the clairaudience that sounds are received by the medium's consciousness from his spirit hearing potential. Speech is a feature with some materializations, and there is no doubt it does proceed from the form, and is not an outside experience. To produce any physical sound, there must be the correct apparatus to create the special and particularized sound vibrations, which travel to the tympanum for transmission via the brain to the consciousness. Right, so I finished this thoughts on physical mediumship here, and I shall continue on page 180. I don't know how many chapters this book actually has. I'm not pre-reading it because I want to kind of go the journey with you. It has a chapter 22, a guide for the development of mediumship, and then has it got a last page? Now I think that is also a very long chapter, which I shall probably read in several pages, parts. Bye-bye. Happy Sunday. There's a meditation again at 7 p.m. tonight, which I have been doing since August 2020. Bye!